And welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast, the entertainment business news podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. You should probably go there at some point. Welcome back into the show that nobody thought would still be going on after so many long years. It's been a very long day for Chad, and it's ending with a 5:25 recording for this show. I said save it to Monday, and I went, no, might as well just do it now. The video will be coming out on Monday, I'll tell you that much. Welcome back in. What I do today? Well, I talked to a comedian on an interview I set up myself. It's not very often that I can reach out to people and people be like, yeah, why not? This one did come with some caveats. That we were like, I said, I go video, and they go yes, and then a day later they go no, no video. And you only have 20 minutes. It's great. I'll give you a hint. It's with a company I used to work with. Excuse me, not with. I used to work for this company. They paid me this salary, and contract. So they paid me the contract money. They were like, we washed our hands of this at the end. After one renewal or two renewals. Am I getting too granular and specific? It's Warner Brothers. Who cares? We know it's Warner Brothers. We know I used to be a producer there. What is going on? Why is this so loud? You might hear Cheers on in the background. I do have, I love turning on Paramount Plus on the weekends and going to the comedy section on that live TV tab. And Cheers is playing on the 80s, the 80s section more often than not. A lot of times though, it'll be like Wings, and then sometimes Taxi, which I'll watch Taxi. I've never seen Wings. And on the 80s channel, they only play one word titled shows. I hear another Cheers starting. But let me talk about this. I did a series of interviews with three great people. Andre Highland, Michael Angarano. I have a computer in front of me, and I chose to go with my phone because that is the quickest way. And Stephanie Sue, movie star Stephanie Sue, sat down with me to talk about their Peacock TV show Laid, which is yet to be released. But the embargo for the interviews and the reviews of the show were up on Monday, and I said I need something for Wednesday, so I decided to do that. Or release that. So it was great. It was a wonderful conversation. You can listen to it on the episode that came out before this. You can watch that on youtube.com/cpluscomedy. It is a junket. I know I've said on several occasions I hate junkets, but sometimes you're offered somebody big and you go, I want to go ahead and take it. So that's the only way, or if it's somebody I know. Oh, I get Ryan Hansen? I'll talk to him. I know him. Oh, I get India de Beaufort? Okay, I'll talk to her. I know her. I get some punk guy I don't know. I'm not going to talk to that person. I'm kidding. I'll say yes. Oh my gosh. What else has been going on? I wanted to go see Y2K this week, and the Kyle Mooney directed comedy film. I waved my hand and the light turned on. That's really fun. But I did not get a chance to. In fact, I was out with Maverick on a walk when the movie was starting, and it was at 12:28. I went, I meant to go see a movie. So I'll have to. Unfortunately, I do think my local AMC is getting rid of it today. I think the last day. I think it was literally only in theaters from Monday to Thursday. Unfortunately, so that sucks. And I don't even think my local Landmark has it. That's why I was at AMC. I went, that's strange. It only had like 4 showings total, like the entire week. And I couldn't have gone today. I was taking a nap. I needed a nap. Just spending too much money on things. I went to go get some stuff altered. I know alterations cost money, but then along with the dry cleaning, she was like, $286. I went, what? And I went, well, I need some, I'm going to a very sad event. Take that as you will. I'll be going to a very sad event next week. And I just bought that suit. So that's $300. And I just went, okay, well, I need that before Wednesday. And she was like, okay, I'll do that first, but everything else 2 weeks for the alterations. And I went, that's fine. Even though I've been buying the wrong size pants. And then, so all the pants they're in my closet, with the exception of 3 pairs that were recently bought in the past year or 2. I took them down there and said, can you please get these altered? And now I'm kind of thinking, I should have just, I shouldn't have done that. But I could pick them up in 2 weeks. We'll see if I have money then. I probably won't. All right, let's get on with the stories. This comes from Ian Carlos Campbell from Engadget. Musicians demand music labels drop their Internet Archive lawsuit. If you didn't know, the Internet Archive is this wonderful online library of place where everything is archived, basically. So if you post something on IGN and it disappears from the IGN website, well, it's archived from that day, from 2006. The review of, or let's say 2005, the review of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the exact way that website looked. It's going to be posted on Internet Archive in the exact same way. Or if someone has just saved a version of it in text form, then you can look at it that way. There's movies, there's TV shows, there's music, there's video games, all saved under the Internet Archive in the Wayback Machine or the archive itself. And like I said, it's this online repository, kind of a library of sorts, for people to go to. For you're nefarious. If you're nefarious, if you're downloading ROMs, fine. If you're downloading TV shows, fine. I mean, sometimes it's the only place to find things. And I'm not a fan of pirating, but sometimes it is the only place to find the entire DatPiff archive, because all of the DatPiff mixtapes were deleted. And if people want to save the old mixtapes, the datpiff.com, those mixtapes and everything, because we need to have a record of everything, then do it by all means. And if that's the only way to get it, by all means. The same goes for, I'm not a fan of stealing TV shows or movies, but if I'm going to name a random show, and I know you can find this show everywhere, you can find it literally everywhere. I could probably go on YouTube right now and find a legal channel for it. But Jackie Chan Adventures, on a WB show that used to air on Saturday mornings. If that show wasn't online as prevalent as it was, then, and if I went to Internet Archive and I wanted to see it, then, and that was the only place to have it, then I mean that's how it's going to be. So musicians like Tegan and Sarah, whom I love, Open Mike Eagle, Bikini Kills, Kathleen Hanna, they've all signed a letter organized by Fight for the Future, demanding music labels drop their lawsuit against the Internet Archive, which I think was brought up in 2023, yes, by Sony, because they, and other places, because they were digitizing old records. It's Sony Music Entertainment Group, Universal Music Group, and some other labels filed this lawsuit against it. Again, the Internet Archive is a nonprofit, so everything's free, accusing it of copyright infringement for digitizing, quote, willfully uploading, distributing, and digitally transmitting pre-1972 sound recordings, including 7/8 RPM discs, which are so hard to come by at this point in time. So, and like even like getting that original sound, it's, again, this is all so important. This is history. People talk about not wanting to knock down Confederate statues. This is actual history. And And a lot of these things are going to be lost to time. Think of how many, think about Doctor Who pre 2005, all those specials and everything, the stuff that couldn't be saved. Imagine all of that, like if you could have access to that today, or I'm sure there's George Lucas has original writings and stuff, but, imagine if you didn't have any like Star Wars history. It's crazy. The Musicians for Fairness and Preservation open letter reads, "We, the undersigned musicians, wholeheartedly oppose major record labels' unjust lawsuit targeting the Internet Archive. We don't believe the Internet Archive should be destroyed in our name. Instead, the letter offers 3 alternative ways the lives of musicians could be materially improved. By partnering with organizations like the Internet Archive to preserve original recordings and music culture, allowing musicians to keep 100% of merchandise sales, and ending vertical investments in streaming services like Spotify." But we know that last part especially will not be something that Sony or UMG would want to do, because that would take away a boatload of money from them. Although, even though it is in their best interest to keep these artists happy. These artists are, if Tegan and Sarah are going to be making music for the rest of their lives, and they're going to be selling out, how big is Tegan and Sarah? How big are Tegan and Sarah? Canadian lesbian sisters. I mean, yes, I do like them. I do listen to their music. They do have a documentary. I think they had a TV show. They're not going to be that. I'm going to say stadium, but they're going to be selling out, rooms. Theaters. If they're going to be selling out theaters, then why not keep them happy? They give them the merchandise sales. Give these artists like Open Mike Eagle, give them ways to continue to make money, and instead of having to tour incessantly. Live Nation's making hand over fist dollars and cents. If the label wins the lawsuit, which from that great 78 project the Internet Archive has, which is preserving the 78 RPM records, it already has over 400,000 recordings available to stream from Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, Frank Sinatra. If the labels win that lawsuit, the Internet Archive would have to pay up to $621 million in damages to account for the music streamed through the archive since 2006. Isn't that unfortunate for a nonprofit? And in the same way that, look at Sony, look at Universal, look at all these other labels that are a part of this. They aren't, even if the other labels that are unnamed at this point in time, not unnamed, but they don't matter as much as Sony and Universal. Even if those labels aren't as big as Sony and Universal, $621 million let's assume that Sony, how much money is it? Sony Music, what the hell is it called? Sony Music Entertainment. Okay, Sony Music Entertainment profits. I spelled entertainment wrong. But let's see how much their profits were for the year. So their profit, this is insane because this does not matter. Their profits for the fiscal year that ended March 31st, 2024, Sony Corporation generated $10.69 billion from its music segment, which is up from $10.35 billion that following year. $10.9 billion. And they're suing collectively for $621 million. That is like less than 10% or a little bit over 10%. And they're not even going to get that whole $621 million. So why does it matter that people have these original recordings of Ella Fitzgerald, of Frank Sinatra, when you won't even miss there's 12 or 14 people suing with you, so you won't even miss the 50 million. And this is after the Internet Archive has come back online after being maliciously attacked. The Internet Archive also lost an appeal in an ongoing lawsuit with publishers over digital book lending. Again, it is a library, a digital library. The Internet Archive claims it's a digital book library, can lend out ebooks under the fair use doctrine, but multiple judges have now disagreed. I don't know how recent these books are. I mean, if it's books like Leanne Moriarty's latest book that I just bought, then obviously, yeah, that's not right. But if it's if it's Tom Sawyer, it doesn't matter. This is all so stupid and careless. Moving on, this comes from The Hollywood Reporter, written by Rick Porter. Netflix split seasons of Emily in Paris, The Crown, and more. Netflix split the seasons of those shows, but results have been mixed. And if you've noticed, Netflix has, instead of dropping shows all at once now, they're playing around format a lot like every other streaming platform has been doing. Because not many of them drop every episode at once. I just finished Interior Chinatown, which was fantastic, but they dropped every episode at once, and it took me 3 weeks to get through because I just kept forgetting about it, and also I just wanted to sit down and watch it. But shows like Stranger Things, shows like I'm thinking of a show. It's in my list. Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai's final season and Stranger Things' final season had been split up into 3 parts, and they're dumping, batches of episodes, even though they're part of the same season, every couple of months. I wouldn't say quarter, but whereas some other shows like The Great British Baking Show drops once a week, and then other shows just drop entirely at once like they used to do. Is that something that is working for Netflix at this point in time? Now, we know that they don't report numbers, period. But also we know that they don't report numbers if they're not good enough. And they don't report exact numbers. They report like hours streamed. Season 4 of Netflix's Outer Banks debuted at the top of the streamer's TV charts for the week of October 7th with 62.3 million hours of viewing worldwide, which is good. I guess 62.3 million hours of viewing. That doesn't mean that people finished the season. It means that people watched episodes or episode. That the 62.3 million hours of viewing for Outer Banks was about 60% less than the opening week for season 3, which had just under 155 million hours for a full season binge release. So again, it seems as though for some of these shows, people go, well, they're not dropping all episodes at once. They only dropped 6 episodes of Outer Banks as opposed to dropping 12. I just named random numbers. But I'll just wait until it comes. Like I know what's it called? Cobra Kai. I know Cobra Kai. I'm just so sick of that show. I know Cobra Kai is doing 18, I think, for their season, and they've been dropping 6 and 6 and 6. Mark of the Beast. But I'm not watching it right now because I'm kind of fed up with Cobra Kai. It took me a year to get through that last season. Of 5 prominent series that had split releases, The Hollywood Reporter, I'm trying to see how much time is in this episode, studied 4 of them: You Season 4, The Witcher Season 3, The Crown Season 6, and Emily in Paris Season 4. They spent longer in Netflix's top 10 rankings than their most recent binge release seasons. So that means even though Emily in Paris was broken up into however many parts, it stayed in the top 10 longer because people didn't just go through it at once. And I think about this all the time. I think shows are meant to be watched in the original way that that shows were intended. It's fun to turn on YouTube TV, which is going up by $10, which is now it's going to be $83. My friend and I that I split YouTube TV with, we had this conversation. I sent her the email like 17 minutes after I got it, and then all I had was the emoji, the yikes emoji, and she went, ugh, God. We decided to stay with it, but there's going to be a point when if it gets to 100, you know what? At $83 per month, I think they have a 4K option that they charge $5 for the first year, $5 per month for the first year, and then $10. I think from this point forward, that 4K option should just be gone, and it should be included. You know, that's ridiculous. That's insane. At this point, even with Netflix charging me $23 per month, I'm getting more value out of that because they're offering games, and I get to play Grand Theft Auto. I get to play the best versions of Grand Theft Auto. I get to watch things in 4K. I get to watch shows that won't leave a streaming platform. It's ridiculous. It's really pissing me off. I'm actually rooting for Netflix in this situation. And not even because it's $60 cheaper. The fifth show they looked at, season 3 of Bridgerton, equaled season 2's longevity of 11 weeks. Bridgerton was also an outlier in terms of viewing time, surpassing season 2 in both that measure, 804. Where season 3 ranks 6th all time for Netflix English language series, and season 2 is 10th. But again, I think there's better engagement when it comes to, hey, I know there's an episode of Shrinking dropping on Wednesday on Apple TV Plus. That's going to give me a reason to go back to Apple TV Plus. Not only that, it's going to give me a reason to stay on Apple TV Plus, because at least for 12 weeks, I get to watch Shrinking. In the same way, and they get my $10 for 2 months. And then there's a chance that I would go, oh, you know what? They have Napoleon. Let me watch Napoleon. And then the next week, oh, they have Napoleon the extended cut. Let me watch Napoleon extended cut. Oh my gosh. I'm giving you guys a look into my life. It doesn't work well for every show. Witcher season 3 ended up with 57.8 million views over 8 weeks in the top 10, down from 67.2 million over 6 weeks for the binge release second season. But I think that's also part and parcel with the idea that Henry Cavill left the show. And also people are just getting tired. It's like, it's a heavy, fantasy drama. I think it's a very interesting thing to look at. Also, I got to tell you, I used to be a producer at Cartoon Network, and we knew shows were canceled before they would even drop their first seasons or second seasons sometimes. If you want a show to exist, watch it and keep watching it. That's it. That's the spine of it. Watch a show. If you like Emily in Paris, you better watch that when it launches. You better watch it again. And you better talk about it online. This next one comes from Gary Baum at The Hollywood Reporter. What happened to the Celebrity Telethon? They used to be big events. You used to see a giant, things happen. Jerry Lewis hosted a telethon. And you don't see that anymore. PBS used to host telethons. I don't know if they still do. But I know once a month at the end of PBS NewsHour for a week, they talk for 20 minutes. My local GPB breaks into PBS NewsHour and they talk for too long. You should donate to the PBS. Blah, blah, blah. I support the cause. Just saying. On November 2nd, CBS and CMT they did simulcast a 1 hour pre-recorded benefit on behalf of the United Way for relief following Hurricanes Helene and Milton. They had people like Blake Shelton, the Zac Brown Band, JB Smoove, and others who made appearances. While the effort raised $6.2 million, it was also indicative of the shrinking footprint of linear television. The telethon used to last for hours, and used to like call in and you could see like, oh, there's I don't know, I can't think of somebody. Joan Rivers. There's Joan Rivers in the background, and she's on the phone. Oh, there's Louis Armstrong. Hey, how you doing? You want me to sing you a song? I see skies are gray And Cloud, now give me my money. I'm not gonna let you finish. You gotta make yourself laugh. I mean, even on Comedy Central, excuse me, I'm sorry, not Comedy Central. It was HBO had too many jokes. There was also Stand Up to Cancer. Wasn't it Too Many Jokes? Hold on. Let me say it's HBO. Too Many Stars. That's what it was called. Too Many Stars. Night of Too Many Stars. Yes, I remember that. And that was to raise money for America Unites for Autism programs. There was also Stand Up to Cancer, which used to, like, even as recently as like less than 10 years ago, it used to be a big event, and now it's just kind of dwindled. Swerve Communications, Melissa's son, a marketing consultant who has long operated at the intersection of entertainment and nonprofit worlds, says that as network viewership diminishes, charities, quote, now need to rely on multiple platforms, tactics, and messengers to make up various parts of the funnel. You know what I also think about is when the pandemic started and Gal Gadot made that Imagine video with all those famous people who could care less about making that video. Even though I fell for it, I was one of the people that was like, this is going to help rally the troops. And no, sure, people made fun of it. But you know, it is truly taking. Also, if you're watching the video, you are seeing me in a shirt that was made for yoga. It's got thumb things in it. I don't wear the thumb things, but it is a Gaiam yoga shirt, long sleeve yoga shirt, and you know, it fits. I like it a lot. But it is such a yoga shirt. But it's, you know, there are so many different ways now to get people's attention that even if you have the star power, it's going to take a lot more. You know, it's the Golden Globes, the Emmys and the Oscars might as well be some type of event to raise money for charity, because that's the only thing on network TV that's going to get any views, except for sports. It's because it's just so different now. People are going every which way elsewhere. But the people who are going to tune in for the Game Awards are the people who are going to watch the Game Awards. I forgot they were on last night. I was watching Red One. I said, Red One dropped on Prime Video. I said, let me sit down after dinner and watch Red One. I was making my workout, looking up every time, going, it's going, okay, why is he explaining this again? What are UMGs? Why is Chris Evans doing an accent in that movie? He's talking like this. He's talking like he heard a New York accent, but then also he's not really good at it. Oh my gosh. She also adds that the ability to fundraise at scale is increasingly challenging, quote, in a rapid response situation. That's why we see so many creatives now working to own and operate their own pies. I mean, this is something that happens all the time, but you know, you just saw Tom Holland just announced that it was just announced that Tom Holland started his own production company. Also, this seems like it's a little too late, because I think Issa Rae had her production company like as soon as her show started, even before that. But what happens when these things don't, you know, imagine if we had when the wildfires in Maui happened. Imagine if there was some type of telethon to help raise some money from that. Even though we had people like Oprah Winfrey and Dwayne Johnson helping out with the People's Fund of Maui, or like imagine if, you know, they would go to their social platforms and say, hey, donate this money, and then, you know, we'll match the money. But I do think it takes a little bit of show, a little bit of look at this thing. We're doing this thing for 2 hours, and it's going to be funny, and it's going to be heartwarming. It's going to have music. But that also would require people to, they talk about the Gal Gadot 2020 video, the Imagined. She says she's quoted in here saying the video was premature. Again, I love it. If we're gonna do the execution, let's do the execution. Let's go whole ass. That would be the name of this episode, but I'm not gonna do that. Bring back the telethon. I think we should bring back the telethon. And if we're going to, look, I'll say it. Last week on SNL, Paul Mescal hosted, and they had their first person of color on, right? The first person of color was Shabuzi this entire season, which is crazy to me. Anyway, and then Chris Rock is hosting this week, and he's the first person of color. He's going to be the only person of color to host. Again, just saying. That's one of the biggest missteps of SNL is just they're trying to capture a moment a lot of times, and I love SNL. I love The Simpsons. I love Nintendo. And I'm able to be a fan and also take a step back in the third person and go, this is messed up. But they keep pairing, I think, the wrong people and getting the wrong people to host, especially with this season premiere. I think that was a bad idea. I don't care who won the comedy Emmy. It does not matter. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, get people of color, you know? And then also one of my biggest issues with SNL is, and I'm not singling anybody out. This has been an issue for a very long time. But every time they do a hiring, they hire a round of people, it always includes, another white woman and a couple of white men. We don't need that. Just let's diversify. I'm sure there's a lot of great people out there. I'm sure. I just spoke to one today. She's too big for SNL at this point. She could host it. She's not gonna be able to be on it. It'd be strange going from like having a show, several specials, and then appearing and then being a cast member on SNL. Who's the biggest person to become a cast member at SNL? Like to become. I would say in recent memory, Ego Nwodim. She was, to me, and the people that follow the comedy world, this improv world and sketch comedy world, I would say she was already a very good, well-known name. Same thing for, Jost was writing. James Austin Johnson, maybe, yeah. I don't know. It's all different now. Anyway. What was I talking about? But SNL had on some TikTok star, I don't know, some singer, and people went crazy for her. She was a guest appearance. She was just appearing in a sketch, and people went nuts. And I was like, who is this person? And like Bowen Yang had to wait a second. People were like, yeah. But it could take things like that to have these personalities that, I don't know. And to help raise money. They could be doing the on-the-ground stuff while it all culminates in this TV special. And finally, this comes from a writer written by Todd Spangler. Hot Ones Studio sold by BuzzFeed for $82.5 million to Soros Fund, Sean Evans, and a lot of other investors. The first thing I said, I am not a fan of Hot Ones. I think Sean Evans is a bad host. But I do respect the game. And the first thing I saw when I saw the headline, I went, congrats. Good for him. That's smart. So for $82.5 million in cash, BuzzFeed's out of the First We Feast Hot Ones game. And also the second thing I said was, I hope they get to keep all their videos because I know that could be tricky on the YouTube front. Sean Evans alongside alongside First We Feast founder Chris Schonberger, podcast media company Crooked Media, Rhett and Link's Mythical Entertainment, wow, and Soros Fund Management, the investment firm founded by billionaire financier George Soros, all went in on this. Hot Ones is one of the biggest online talk shows. If you listen to Late Night Lately this week, episode 47, I talk about talk shows and late night shows. This is a talk show, but it is such a popular program with 4 billion views, with 14 million subscribers, just to watch people like Shaquille O'Neal or Post Malone or Millie Bobby Brown or Margot Robbie just eat hot wings and answer bad questions. There's also a live Hot Ones series of shows coming to Netflix. I mean, it's popular, and I think in the hands of the people who created it, of Sean Evans and of Chris and of the people, the likes of Rhett and Link, and the rest of these business people with the creative people, they're going to be able to take it to new heights and also get more money on the back end for themselves. First We Feast is going to become an independent company, and Sean Berger is going to become the CEO. Evans is going to be the CCO, in addition to continue hosting. I mean, this is going to be a great way for them to, while making a lot of money, have more creative control and not have to be over BuzzFeed's head, or have BuzzFeed flying over them saying they can't do this or can't do that. Also, this frees up. It's bad for BuzzFeed because now they're losing a big chunk of video for themselves, and I don't think they have a lot in the video side going on. But this is going to give them a little bit of a windfall for themselves. 82 million is nothing to scoff at. BuzzFeed picked up Hot Ones, and First We Feast through the 2021 acquisition of Complex Networks for a price tag of $294 million, in a time where BuzzFeed just basically needs this money right now. BuzzFeed sold Complex to e-commerce company Network and other investors for $108 million, 0.6 plus $5.7 million in related fees from Network. However, her First We Feast was not sold in that deal and remained with BuzzFeed because good money. For BuzzFeed, the sale of First We Feast will help it reduce debt. As I just said, it's going to be a great windfall for them. They now operate with a cash balance that is larger than its outstanding debt, which, as the deal allows it to reduce outstanding debt to $30 million by $88.8 million. Wow. Woo. First We Feast is going to have so much more coming in their future. They've got an annual Hot Ones holiday extravaganza on December 19th. Season 26 of Hot Ones begins January 23rd. There's quote-unquote special surprises because it's the 10th anniversary. I mean, amazing. They've got a line of hot sauces. They've got Truth or Dab, the game, collaborations available nationally at retailers and restaurants. I mean, they're becoming Mr. Beast levels of big. And this, again, is going to allow them to become a little bit more free to do more things. So I'm not excited to see where it goes, but I will root them on from the back because I have no interest in watching First We Feast videos. And they can also invest in more shows for themselves, on this YouTube channel, and also open up to partnerships that they couldn't have at BuzzFeed. So good for them. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people, including Stephanie Sue. I misspelled my own website, and I need water because I've been talking for the past 2 hours. Stephanie Sue, Michael Angarano, and Andre Highland, as well as a slew of other great interviews that I host with Ryan Hansen, Leanna Liberato, Michael Costigan, Vic Michaelis, Alexis Gay. I could name so many more people, but I choose not to. You can watch video versions of those interviews over there on youtube.com/cpluscomedy. You can also watch video versions of the other podcasts, LinkedIn Logs, the Jobs Podcast, and Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show on youtube.com/cpluscomedy. You can subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcast. Maverick started drinking water, and he's like lapping it up, and it is disgusting how loud it is. I'm so mad. You can subscribe, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Facebook at C Plus Comedy. Me at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye. Dude, don't do that. Okay, bye.